human body systems project and the computer science component where the compiler will be putting all of the various projects together in order to create one final project for your group. So a couple things to be aware of. Number one, make sure that everyone has completed and shared their project to the Scratch Studio. Now, when I say completed, make sure that you've all looked at it and you think that it's a good project. And then secondly, someone should have completed the menu and backgrounds and uploaded that to the Scratch Studio. I've mentioned the Scratch Studio twice. Remember, the Scratch Studio link is found on Romanet, and everyone has to share their project in order for us to grab the code from it. The menu and backgrounds project is actually going to be shared. The file name is going to be the body system underscore final. So you'll see that in a minute. Once that's taken care of, I will go to Scratch and begin my project. So I'm going to go to my Scratch Studio, in this case 7th grade science e-block, and I'm going to see a whole bunch of different projects in there. But as I mentioned, the one that you are going to be putting everything into is the one that's labeled your body system underscore final. Okay, so what I'll do is go ahead and click on that. And what I'll want to do first is when I go to see inside, I want to file save as a copy because this is someone else's right now. And so I want to make sure it's mine and so that I can do all the work to it. So now it'll say respiratory system underscore final copy. And now I can start working on it. So the first thing that I want to do is throw everything in my backpack. So what I'll want to do is go back into the studio and then get to the projects so that I can put everything into my backpack. Now let's just start. I've got my 4 sections right here with the buttons. I'll go ahead and add those things in. In fact, the way that I'll do it is that I'll begin by, it doesn't really matter, but there's a specific thing that I do want you to do. So I'll go to see inside, I'll go to backpack and open it up. Again, the backpack is down in the corner here, and I will just drag and drop each one of my sprites into my backpack. Okay. Now this is what I mentioned before. What I'd like for you to do is put the button first and then all the sprites associated. This will just make your life easier when we're trying to find things later. So put the button first and then all the sprites associated with that button, and it'll make our lives easier. Again, going back into my studio and then grabbing all of the other projects as well. The interactive scene. Open up my backpack, and as I mentioned, grab the button first, and then all of the sprites associated with this project. And I'm going to do that again for 2 more. Button first, sprite, button first, and sprite. When I look at my backpack, I should see 4 buttons located there, and then the sprites associated with those buttons. Now that everything's in there, I'm going to go back to the project that I was working on, and it was again human body systems, or sorry, the name of your system, final copy. And here's where I'm going to do my work. I'm going to go to see inside. And the first thing that I want to do is actually work on this backdrops area. So I'll click on the backdrops tab, and I've got 3 things right now: menu, diagram, and quiz. One thing that was kind of a mix-up from my videos from before is I'll actually need to add one more backdrop, and this is the interactive scene. This is the one where people are pushing the body parts to the side. So what you'll want to do is go ahead and paint a new backdrop. Just ask the person who did the interactive scene what theirs looks like. So it will look something like this, obviously a colored background. And then the text, they have it something to the effect of move the parts, and let me highlight that, of the respiratory system, press return to go to the next line, past the red line. And again, you'll just have to ask them how that was labeled, how did they word it, because they may have had it right up here, it may be written down here, but just ask them how they did it. And then the thing that you are going to want to do is make sure that this one is labeled as parts. Okay, and so now I've got menu, diagram, quiz, and parts. I will make sure that I save that now. And let's add the code for this. I'll go to scripts, go to events, and go to when flag clicked, go to sensing, set video transparency to, and I'm going to change that to 100%. And this is where I want to make sure that my menu is the backdrop. Switch backdrop to, not parts, but menu. That's what I want to start with. The next thing that I want to add as far as code is concerned is, again, from the events folder, or the events drawer. And when I receive, and I'm going to change that to a new message, and this is going to say main menu. Again, main with a capital M, menu with a capital M with a space in between. When I receive main menu, I'm going to go back to looks, and I'm going to switch backdrop to menu. Okay, so now my code is completed for my backdrops here. That's taken care of. Second part. Let's go ahead and add in the sprites. Let's click our flag and it goes to menu and this little thing shows up. So now I want to add just the buttons. This is the next part. So let's go ahead and drag all of the buttons over. And you'll notice that wherever the person coded the button to go, that's where they're going to show up. Your job as the compiler is to figure out where you want it to actually be. Okay, and so let's start with our first button, quiz, and it's kind of hidden over here. So say I want it over here. What I'll have to do is, since quiz is selected, I'll have to change the coordinates in two places. Right now it's located at 139.27, so I'm going to want to change that 139.27 here, 139.27 here. And I'm going to do that for the following three buttons. Okay, move scene over. Its coordinates are 140, -47. Great, let's move fun facts over. Coordinates are -61, 77. And lastly, diagram. It's a little bit off, but you get the point. -67.46. Again, that number coming from over here. Great. Now when I click my flag, oops, my fun facts is not in the right place. I must have put some number in the wrong place. Oh, it was -77. Great. Now when I click my flag, all of my buttons are in the right place. I'm done with my buttons. I'm done with the code for the menu. Now we're going to work specifically on the quiz. So what I want to do right now is I want to drag over the sprite associated with the quiz. Now when that sprite shows up, the first thing that I want to do I know right now it's showing up with all the buttons, but we're going to eventually get it where it's not showing up with the buttons. The first thing that I want to do with the sprite is I want to make sure that it's positioned wherever on the screen when the quiz begins that I want it to go. So say I want it right here. I'm going to make sure that that's set in place. So what I want to do is go ahead and say, when I receive quiz, go to this spot. Okay, but when the flag is clicked, hide. So my flag is clicked as hide, and then when I receive quiz, I'm going to go to that spot. Now you'll notice it starts giving the code, and it says all of a sudden your score was 0. Now here's the part that Scratch is not capable of doing. Your partner who made the quiz, they made an array where all the questions and answers were stored. Unfortunately, what you're going to have to do is go back and make sure that everything is in place. Okay? So Scratch is strange. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Here's what you need to look for. You need to look and see that they have a variable called like a number or answer number or something like that. They have a variable called Q number or Q or question number, and then they have a variable called score. The second thing that you need to see is that they have a list. 2 lists that are needed. One is going to be questions, and if I click on it, it's going to be empty. And then the other list that's needed is going to be answers, that's plural. So questions and answers are plural. And unfortunately, as the compiler, you now have to get the questions and answers from them and put them back in the code. Okay, so unfortunately, that's going to be your job to get the questions and answers from them and put it back in the code. The way that you put it back in is you just click on the plus and you just start typing in the questions. So what was Q1? Enter. What was Q2? Enter. What was Q3? Okay, what? And I'm going to do this for all of my Okay, now you'll notice that I hit enter and it made a 6th one right here. I want to make sure that that's deleted. So I've got only the number of questions and only the number of answers. Once you're done with questions, go ahead and click a plus sign to add the answers. So whatever the answers were for, and it's got to go in the right order. So the answer for 1 has to go in this memory slot for 1. So I'm just going to put A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay. So now my questions and answers are in. They've already written the code. It was just that Scratch didn't put this part in. Okay. Now that that's taken care of, I can actually uncheck this right here so that's not showing up. Again, I can check and uncheck just to get rid of that. And so now I can add the last couple parts for this. When I receive the quiz, I want to switch the backdrop to quiz. Okay, so I'm going to go to looks, switch backdrop to, switch that to quiz. Okay, I'm not sure how your sprite is ending this. Like they might say your score was whatever, great job. You do need to add a code here that says broadcast main menu. So you'll go to events and you will do broadcast main menu. Okay, one more thing to add to this sprite here. So I added the switch backdrop to quiz. I added at the end broadcast main menu. And then the last thing that I need to do is actually put in a when I receive main menu. There's several things that I want to do. First, I want to hide from the looks drawer. Then I want to go back to the data drawer and I'm going to hide the following things. I'm going to hide my variable, and it's not going to be a number or answer number, it's actually going to be score. Okay, so I want to hide the variable score, and then I'm going to go down towards the bottom and I'm going to hide both lists. I want to hide my questions list, and I want to also hide my answers list. That is the code that's needed for your sprite. So let's just make sure everything's working. All right. So something else happened. This score didn't get rid of when the flag was clicked. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and hide those very same things right here again when flag is clicked. So I'll go ahead and hide my variable score and then hide questions and answers. Okay, now when I go to my quiz, welcome to the respiratory system quiz. Hope you're ready to answer some questions. Here we go. What was Q1? A1. Yes, good. A2. Great. A3. Yep. I'll just put in some random answer here. Sorry, you need to study more. Sorry, you need to study more. Your score was 3, and it should at this point take me back to my main menu. Perfect. You're done now with not only the menu, but you've added the parts for the quiz. The quiz is all taken care of. And now it actually gets a little bit easier going on out. That was probably the hardest part. What you need to add now is let's go ahead and add in fun facts. So I'll go ahead and get the code for fun facts and just drag it over, or sorry, the sprite for fun facts. And that's going to be dragged over. And what I want to do is go ahead and go to my fun facts sprite. And I've got this right now, when flag clicked hide, when I receive fun facts, couple things that I want to do. When I receive fun facts, I'm going to show, and that's fine. What I want to do is go to events, and I want to do broadcast main menu at the very end. Okay, so broadcast main menu at the very end. And then lastly, when I receive main menu, I just want to hide. Okay, and that's it. That's just the code for fun facts. I've just done a broadcast main menu at the end, and then when I receive main menu, I want to hide. Okay, and so now all that needs to be done is let's check it. Okay, I go to that, fun facts, great, my fun facts are playing. That's working fine. That was my next fun fact. And then I'll show my third fun fact, and it should hopefully take me back to my main menu. Perfect. I'm going to end this tutorial right here, where you have just done the background, you've added the quiz button, you've added the fun facts, and the next tutorial will show you how to add the diagram and the scene.